Trudeau is outraged. He's smearing the truckers. The media is losing their collective minds. Activists in the U.S., aligned with the Democratic uniparty establishment, are freaking out, saying the truckers are engaging in acts of violence by tooting, honking their horns. A judge issued an injunction saying, tooting is not a form of expression. You hereby are banned from honking your horns. And none of it matters. The truckers won. That's it. From this point forward, the government is crippled. The city is crippled. The truckers have won. Now, what they'll end up getting is an entirely different subject matter. But there's a rumor circulating several days ago that towing companies would not move any of these trucks. We had some reporting from local outlets saying they called local towing companies, said, look, I don't want to get in the middle of this. I don't want to be involved. Well, now we have this from the CBC. Towing companies on city contracts refuse to move convoy vehicles. City police say finding willing tow truck operators is a Canada-wide challenge. There it is. They won't do it. They won't do it. They're on city contracts and they are refusing. Not only are these city contractors refusing to do it, many others are outright saying it's impossible. I'm flabbergasted. I mean, there it is. And it is impossible. Take a look at this photograph. You can see that there's some kind of barrier structure. There's a police vehicle and all of these trucks lining the street in Ottawa. How do you tow them? How do you tow these vehicles? You can't do it. It's gridlock. In this story from the CBC, removing trucks could be almost impossible, say heavy towing experts. Incredibly difficult without cooperation from drivers, say those in the field. There's a really fun puzzle game. You ever play? It's called Gridlock. And you get a map of like a city street, and all the cars are interlocked in such a way, and you got to move one car at a time to figure out how to get all the cars out. Or there'll be like one car trapped, and you've got to clear the gridlock to pull your car out. It's a fun game. But gridlock is a real thing. When every vehicle enters the intersection at the same time, and they're all pointing at each other, the intersection locks. And then how do you get the cars out? That's hard enough. Well, now, what we're seeing are big rigs. You need heavy-duty towing capability to deal with these trucks, but they're all interlocked in one big group. So how do you deal with that? It looks like the government won't be able to at all. CBC reports, the tow truck operators on contract to the city of Ottawa are taking a hard pass on requests to haul vehicles out of the protest areas, according to the city's top public servant. Quote, I've contacted them all, and they're all refusing, as of today, to provide heavy tow truck work. City manager Steve Kanalakos told reporters Monday evening after a 6-hour special council meeting. Right now, we're reviewing their contracts or standing offer and reviewing what actions we can take to deal with this unprecedented situation. It's kind of fascinating, right? City contract towing companies are saying no, but all of these jackboot cops are going around taking people's gas, arresting people. Now, there have been reports that a court has ruled the gas be returned to the truckers. There's also a bunch of videos of people trolling the cops. One thing that was put out there was, if they're going to take gas cans, fill your gas cans, walk around with empty gas cans, fill them up with water or something to that effect. People started doing it. And now there are videos of people carrying around gas cans full of water. The police have to stop them and search it and say, it's just water. Okay, fine, you can carry it. One guy had windshield wiper fluid, and the cops were like, we're taking that. Now here's what's crazy. What if the gas is for you? It's victory across the board. The government is going to have no choice but to say to the truckers, anything you want. Imagine you're a regular person and your car broke down. And you want to go to the diner and get some pancakes. Well, you go to the gas station to get some gas, and you're walking home, doot, and the cop says, is that a gas can? And you're like, sure is, boss, it's for my car. Don't think so, and they take it. The police now are assisting. You see, this is why, I haven't seen the story, but everyone's saying, A court has ruled, give them back their gas. If the trucks don't have gas, the trucks ain't going to be moving. It's the stupidest thing in the world to be like, don't give them gas. Okay, then when they all break down and all of the trucks are empty, they'll be sure to stay there, you morons. You know, this is the problem with government. They are dumb as, you know what? No. I was going to say they're dumb as a box of rocks, but that's insulting to rocks. At the very least, rocks provide a function of paperweight, I suppose, contain valuable minerals. These people are all net negatives on their own community. The cops are morons who enforce this, making the problem worse. Lefties are cheering for taking their gas. They're like, yeah, you show them. It's like, dude, the trucks need gas to move. They can't move if you take their gas. It's incredible, isn't it? It's incredible how insanely stupid these people are. That's why I'm saying the truckers won. The only solution they could muster up to make it so the trucks can't move, lock down the entire city, brilliant. It's not clear how many towing companies have standing offers with the city or the terms of their contracts. And it doesn't seem like Ottawa is having much luck outside city limits. According to Kanalakos, Mayor Jim Watson has reached out to his counterparts in other Ontario municipalities, but no dice. Right now, the consensus seems to be that many of them, or most of them, don't want to do the work because they rely on the heavy truck industry for their livelihood, and they don't want to damage that part of their business. That's the position they're taking, at least. Bravo, good sirs. Man, it's a lot to say, for the police, right? The scumbag garbage cops who are arresting people, fining people. Let me clarify something. I believe if you're engaged in nonviolent civil disobedience, you get arrested. You get a fine. I'm talking about the cops who are taking people's gasoline. I'm talking about the cops who arrested a guy for honking his horn. Yo, there's a line. When you're honking your horn, I don't care what a judge says. Shut up. Okay? It's interesting how people like to say, is it legal? Is it legal? Is it legal? I don't care what's legal necessarily. Obviously, you want to follow the law to the best of your abilities. But what they were doing in Nazi Germany was legal. Legal is not moral. So when a judge says, no more honking your horns, I say, within reason, I can understand why you don't want to cause problems with honking your horns. But we have a legitimate right. It's Canada, by the way. But here in the U.S., I'll say this. Honking your horn is a function you should be allowed to perform. They say, I guess there's interesting arguments about the use of PA systems and things like that. But as AOC says, protests are supposed to make you uncomfortable. That's just, what are you going to do? Deputy Police Chief Steve Bell agreed that finding companies that will agree to tow protesters has been a challenge in every jurisdiction that's faced this, and it's forcing us to come up with some creative solutions. He wouldn't elaborate on what those creative solutions might be, but said police are coming toward a position where we're not going to let the tow truck operators be an obstacle to ending what's occurring. What are you going to do, you pieces of trash? You going to confiscate tow trucks from towing companies because they're not bending the knee to your whims? What are you going to do, you jackboot piece of human garbage? They're not going to stand in our way. Stand in your way how? By not servicing you? The truckers have won. It's plain to see. We're all watching. The emperor has no clothes. The police are pieces of trash. Every single one of these cops. Here we go. It's going to be impossible to move them even if they wanted to. CBC counted 40 trucks on Kent Street and 109 on Wellington Street Friday, with dozens more on other streets spread around the downtown core. On Saturday, Ottawa police said 500 heavy trucks were in the so-called red zone. Trucker Lloyd Crow from Picton, Ontario, had been parked just a couple blocks away from Parliament Hill since last weekend, but he's not worried about being towed. If you know anything about truck air brakes, once you pull that button, all 18 wheels are locked. Nothing can move it, except maybe a big wrecker. And no wrecker worth his salt is going to come anywhere near this because they're on our side. Bravo. Let me just add, I'll tell you guys. When Black Lives Matter goes out in the street and they're like, hey, ho, ho, police brutality's got to go. I'm like, you're correct. Police brutality has got to go. It's a very bad thing. Thank you very much for your service. Protest is a good thing. Protest against government corruption, good thing. Throwing bricks through windows and starting fires and killing people, hey, that's all really bad things. Then coming out and saying abolish the police while you're doing it, yeah, I'm not going to agree with you on that one, you crackpots. But then the police want to come out in the US at least, and they want to then lock down small businesses and destroy people's lives. And I'm like, you're not going to get any support from me. You know what? Abolish the police. Fine. I'm done defending these people. Look, I'll put it this way. I come out and I say, we got problems with police. We got problems with police brutality. They exist. Let's make sure we call it out when we see it because we don't want to tolerate that stuff. Officers, I don't think, however, your job should be abolished. I don't think those officers should be going to prison for that. I want to make sure we're being reasonable. And the cop says, thank you very much, sir, then goes to a gym and arrests a guy, seizes money from his bank accounts with a smile on his face. And I say, to those cops who are unwilling to defend those who defended you, you have lost my support and my defense, and I will no longer give you the benefit of the doubt. Now, there's still a lot of good cops out there. I still think policing is an excellent institution. I do. But you know what? These cops, it's like incumbents. You know what? Any cop, we really got to have this system in place. Any cop that violates constitutional rights should have their badge removed immediately. Here's what we do. We create constitutional community officers, and they work in a different department, and they're police officers who go out to the scene. You send out one with every group of cops, and if the cops are violating someone's rights, that constitutional officer can walk up and take their badge and say, you've lost your badge. Because you know what? Maybe this will be a good idea. Why? Well, let's say you got two cops, and they're responding to a domestic, and they're worried about a gun or something. And that constitutional officer shows up, and he's watching. And then these cops see the domestic abuser draw a weapon, there's yelling and fighting, and then the guy gets shot. The constitutional officer's job at that point is to be like, no, this was clean. Sad, unfortunate, we wish it didn't happen, but that abuser did have a gun and the cops did feel threatened. Okay. But then what happens when you get like a cop in New York who shoves a woman to the ground and she hits her head on the ground? That cop's being criminally charged. The constitutional officer walks up and just takes their badge from them. How about when a cop walks up to a guy and says, with no justification, I'm going to be searching you? He can be like, you better not. I'll take your badge on the spot. Now, look, there's no perfect answer, and maybe this idea of a constitutional officer is not really going to solve any problems. Canada has their constitution or their rights or whatever, different from the U.S. in a lot of ways, but very similar. But ultimately, I don't know if there is a great solution other than someone needs to hold these people accountable. These cops who think they can get away with doing these things, they should not be allowed to, period. Check this out. CBC spoke to multiple towing companies across Ontario, and while many weren't willing to be interviewed, several sources told CBC that the companies contracted by the city of Ottawa were refusing to tow trucks involved in the demonstration. The city would not confirm or deny this, saying only that its bylaw department uses several contracted services to assist with towing vehicles throughout the city. As Trucker said, when you have those air brakes on, that truck ain't going anywhere. And I think a lot of these tow truck companies probably know. They're like, dude, we couldn't move this if we wanted to. Not only that, it is a ton of work to get the heavy duty rigs out there to do it in the first place. You need to be able to move, big rigs, that's for sure. On Sunday, the city declared a state of emergency, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Look at this photo. Trucks are seen parked in downtown Ottawa on February 3rd. It's incredible. Just absolutely gridlocking everything. Well, maybe don't go there. It reminds me of the Battle for Seattle. Remember that? Or is it the Battle in Seattle? I don't know. Battle for Seattle. It was like 1999, I think it was, or whenever. And all of these activist groups protesting the World Trade Organization blocked intersections throughout Seattle. And it was a crazy clash with police and protesters. Well, now you've got big rigs. What's fascinating is 500 people. That's it. 500 people. If there are only 500 trucks out there, it could be more. Maybe some of these trucks have 2 people in them. But think about the amount of control exerted by simply having a truck. That's it. These activists on the left, they come out with, 10,000 protesters and they stop, they break, they shut the city down for a few hours. These truckers have shut it down for weeks now, and they're just parking their trucks. And what can they do about it? The city can do nothing. Literally nothing. There's no tow trucks that's going to come out and do it. So I tell you this, they've lost. Here's the story from CTV News. Feds ready to act should foul play be detected in trucker convoy. No, I think this is the 2 trucks we just saw in the overhead view. Look at that, the gray one and the red one. And then you see the gray one and the red one right there at Mackenzie Street. That's it. You've been shut down. The truckers have won. Oh yeah, look at, there's the cop car and there's the black truck. That's amazing, man. I am truly inspired by this. So we have this tweet from Justin Ling. And it's so weird to me how they lie. about everything? Look what he says. Marazzo, who serves as police liaison, does a pretty good job of dismantling the idea that these organizers are protesting vaccine mandates. He goes on a spiel about freedom that turns into debunked nonsense about vaccine safety. No, the video is literally him saying, give me the information on this so I can make my own decision. He's protesting vaccine mandates, but he's explaining to you why he's upset with the mandates. He's protesting mandates. But these authoritarian fascist types, like Justin Ling, overt fascist, is so desperate to smear the working class standing up against authoritarianism that he has to falsely frame it and try and use sophistry to convince you it's about something else. He's literally saying, don't force me to get the vaccine. Here's my issue with it. Okay, he's protesting the vaccine mandate. Oh boy. Trudeau is slammed for branding the 7,000 strong Freedom Convoy in Ottawa as a few people shouting and waving swastikas. Oh, Trudeau, you are doomed. Because I'll tell you this. Let's say people hate the truckers. Well, Trudeau was unable to solve the problem, and he fled the city, leaving all the people to hold an empty bag. You think they're going to be happy with that guy? This guy who screwed everything up? No. Let's say the people support the truckers. Well, now Justin Trudeau is slamming them and insulting them, and people are going to be like, yo, Trudeau has lost. What a pathetic loser. Oh, man, you ever see that video of Trudeau, like, sitting down at that, like, it was like a G7 or something, and he, like, looks to his right, and there's, like, no one's paying attention, he looks to his left, and he tries to, I think he was trying to shake hands with Bolsonaro, and then he just, like, Bolsonaro just, like, turns to his left and just totally snubs Trudeau. I think it's funny that Trudeau is like this weaselly loser guy, and this is the best he has to come up with. He's pouting, oh, these truckers, you can't do anything about it, can you? You know what, Trudeau? How about you just comply? 2 weeks to slow the mandates. Just comply. Do as you're told. What's the problem? Yeah, that's what all these people wanted to say to us, to the truckers. So I will admit, outright, it's a different country. We know that, and I will admit, you know, it's a very different situation from what we have here in the U.S., but we have a very similar culture, and it is cathartic to see the truckers win, because truckers aren't politicians, they're not billionaires, they're not elites, they're not TV pundits, they're regular working people who have taken control and said, "Shut your mouth" to the political establishment, and all Trudeau can do is go, oh, poor baby, you can't do anything about it. Oh, it's so amazing to see. It's so amazing to see these fascist, corrupt politicians get their comeuppance. And it is quite funny to see all of the Antifa types revealing themselves to be pro-fascist. There's this photo of a woman with blue hair, and she's got a picture of someone holding a shopping bag and like standing up to the trucker. I love the photo. It's a play on Tiananmen Square, whereas like, you know, the guy with the grocery bag was standing up to the tanks. This woman holds a photo of a person blocking the truck. The trucks are literally stopped. They're purposefully not moving, you morons. Standing in front of them with your hand up is exactly what they're trying to do. But these people are so stupid. You know what it is? It's clear that the left, the quote unquote left, these leftists, they're not really leftists. They're not, you know, look. Any leftist who goes on YouTube or Twitter and says, the truckers are bad, yo, you're a fascist. You're defending corporations. You're defending government. You're defending rule by decree. Sorry. And what are you going to say? But it's an emergency. I don't care. Yeah, authoritarians believe in rule by emergency decree. I don't. I think sometimes I recognize emergencies happen. We take swift action. But it's got to be justified. And this ain't it. So the truckers, you know, in my opinion, they are justified. Here we go. Freedom Convoy truckers say Trudeau and North America's liberal media are falsely demonizing them as ultra right-wing crazies. And after spending a week in their midst, the Daily Mail's reporter can only conclude these peaceful, good-natured protesters are 100% correct about that, if nothing else. Daily Mail going on the ground, talking to truckers, saying, regular people. Yeah, but you don't need Daily Mail to tell you that. You can watch Viva Frei. That's Viva F-R-E-I on YouTube. He's got he's a lawyer. He produces legal analysis videos, and he's been on the ground live streaming what's been going on. And you know what? Good for him. And good for all the people who are down there, and we can see the truth. They tried claiming that it's QAnon. Nope. We had Julie Kelly, journalist, on Timcast IRL, and she says, just wait until they try claiming that the truckers are QAnon. Nope. 500 trucks downtown, huh? 50,000 truckers protesting. And you know what? I'll tell you this. This is where it gets really crazy. I support them and will to the very end. American trucker joins Freedom Convoy as Ottawa mayor declares state of emergency. The long-haul driver drove from Indianapolis to Ottawa. I'm not a big fan of that, to be honest. I'm not Canadian. I'm not going to get involved in, necessarily, physically joining a protest in another country. I'm not a big fan of that. It's what we called the tourists back during Occupy. These people at Occupy Wall Street would fly to China and Turkey and engage in protests. And I'm like, what are you protesting? Like, you have nothing to do with what these people are protesting for. You don't even understand it. Now, I can understand with Canada, we have very similar cultures. Okay, that I get. Okay. I don't know if I agree with Americans going up there, though. Americans want to fund it? Okay, well, I think that's fine. It's one thing if Americans are funding protest in, like, South American countries or whatever. It's like, Canada is our neighbor next door, and we have, like, identical cultures, except for the fact that Canada is, like, extremely far left, and even their conservatives are far left. So the whole country is just out of its gourd. But these people are winning. That's it. I mean, this is it. The truckers cannot be moved. All they can do now is say to the truckers, we will give you whatever you want. Otherwise, your city is shut down. And that's it. Your only option at this point is to comply. Non-violent civil disobedience is working. But don't be surprised if they go nuts and the military comes in or something crazy happens. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see y'all then.